Okay, so first of all, so we met a week ago, and you were transitioning into the real world, and we talked about, you know, what you were, what the challenge was going to be, and you were wanting your first food item to be your favorite sandwich at Subway, right?
Right.
And we talked about putting yourself in harm's way and developing trust that food isn't as awesome, or let me rephrase that, food isn't as powerful in your life as it used to be, and by putting yourself in that position that you're going to develop some trust in that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how'd you do?
Well, for last Friday, you suggested I go get a foot long and then just stop when I was full. So, I actually did that, but I ate the whole foot long because I was starving. I have a really hard time with Fridays just because my Monday through Thursday schedule is so, what's the word I want to say? It's so scheduled, like, you know, I have breaks at certain times, and Friday only works 6 hours, so I don't usually get a break. So, you know, in the morning I'll have like yesterday morning I had, you know, 2 clementines and some saltine crackers and a protein drink.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like 8 o'clock, and I'm up at 5 on Fridays. So I'm like, okay, you know, I was hungry, so I ate what I had, you know, I ate what I had. But then it was like 1:30, and I was famished. I told my husband, I said, "You're so lucky I don't have like buffalo sauce right now because I was seriously eating my arm off. I was so crazy, out of the body, hungry.
Yep.
I went to fast food, and that's when you called, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't answer the phone because I'm at fast food. But then I sit back and think, that's fine because I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm so still judging everything that I'm doing. It's driving me crazy.
Mm-hmm. And you understand that by judging everything that you're doing, you're setting yourself up for that all or nothing pendulum swing again.
Right.
Where it's
so it's like, oh my gosh, I can't talk to Robin because I'm at a fast food place.
Oh my gosh, and how many times have you seen me with fast food?
I know, and that's why I'm like, it's so the old diet industry head game that keeps going on in my life that is just so weird that it's just, I thought, you know, it's kind of like an onion, you know? It's like you and I accomplished one part of this onion, but then there's so many other layers that I had no idea about.
I know, and it is a process of learning, and there's a learning curve to this. But I think the most important part of peeling that onion and making it a very quick peel, chopping it in half, is not judging. You have to observe. Well, and the fact that you came to that awareness tells me that you recognized you were judging the situation. You recognize how that emotion, when you emotionalize that food as bad, and that it becomes something that you judge yourself for. So now you're emotionalizing who you are based on that food. That it's a vicious cycle of, you know, how can you develop self-worth from that position? You can't, because you're defining your worth from the food you put in your body. Now, Kelly, I want to make sure that we are clear, and I'm clear when I say, and this is very confusing for a lot of people, because there is so much truth to the nutritional value and the quality of the food we put in our bodies. I'm not saying that that isn't important,
Right.
But the foundation of the problem is judgment, you know, and defining your value based on those judgments, and which is like.
And if I seriously was not at A2 yesterday, I would have probably came home and made something. But I didn't even. Like, I couldn't even stay in line at the drive-thru. Well, because I was just so overly hungry. Yeah,
well, and Kelly, your blood glucose is going to drop much faster than someone that doesn't have as much body. So that's, you understand now, where was the actual problem? Was it in the fact that you didn't have food prepared to prevent that hunger?
Yeah. because I didn't bring anything. I brought my little snacks in the morning, and then I just, was like, oh, I'll just,
So you need to
Subway sandwich. But then I got distracted. I was doing things. I was late after work. I had to stay later, and I just, didn't plan right. And I know better. But
but you're
okay. Friday, I'm off at noon. Well, I wasn't off at noon yesterday.
Yeah, well, you have to remember, Kelly, that you are American, and part of being American is this crazy fast pace that we live by. And why do you think we've created the fast food industry? It was created by our demands for it.
But
So
then I come home, and it's like I didn't even eat my whole meal.
well, then you kicked butt. Then why are you?
I totally did fine. I felt very good about. It's not like I made the greatest choices. I had onion rings and I had a bacon cheeseburger. I didn't eat my burger. Like, once I had the onion ring, I was fine.
Yeah.
I finished my little onion rings off, and I was like, oh, I feel so much better. And so then I just stopped.
Yeah, and then so what we need you to do is be prepared next time. You don't ever want to put your body in that position ever again. I never, that severe type hunger is not, obviously now you can see where your brain is telling you to go get something.
Every Friday, so it's like, hello, knock knock, pudding head.
Okay,
Be prepared.
So how simple is this? How easy is this to fix?
Very easy.
I know, and so don't judge yourself. It's a very easy fix.
But I'm really good at that, though.
Yeah. Well, I think you kicked butt. I mean, this is part of the learning process. But again, when you look back without...
A bunch of girlfriends and I went to a movie, and they're like, oh, let's grab dinner beforehand. I'm like, no, I'm just not hungry. And then we get to the mall, and within seconds, I was starving. I'm like, how is that so crazy? So I just went and had a little snack, and then I was fine.
Yeah, I know.
So it's just like, okay, I wasn't hungry as we were driving over there, and as soon as I get there, it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm really hungry.
Yeah, you need to be prepared. This is similar to how you would care for a child. If you had to care for a child, you would have snacks in your purse. And just in case, because an angry, hungry child is no fun, and neither is an angry, hungry adult.
No.
I know.
I just can't believe how different my attitude is. Like when I'm hungry.
You get irritable.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome.
I could seriously just go crazy on somebody.
Yep, you just need to be prepared and recognize it. It's going to happen fast. You don't have the insurance of that HCG anymore, so it is going to happen really fast for you. And as you lose body fat, you need to know that the time that it takes to get hungry is going to lengthen. When you lose, the more fat you lose, the more hunger you're going to have, but it won't happen so abruptly. So right now you're not very hungry very often, but when you do get hungry, it's abrupt and it's insatiable. That's because your blood glucose drops much faster because you have a larger body creating more demand for that fuel. As you lose size and you lose those fat organ cells, you're going to have hunger more often, but it's not so polarized. It's not so intense. So, one of the things that we want you to start doing is preparing so that you don't get those major dips in blood glucose and having that insatiable hunger, which causes some irrationality. With that type of hunger comes, the almost like you have to, it's like you don't care what you put in your body. You've got to diminish that intense pain, and it is painful. So because we have all this food abundance and we do have options for healthier choices, that just by being prepared, having an orange in your purse or one of those, just something that's quick and easy, it buys you time to then make a choice that you feel is more nutritionally valuable. The problem with, for example, the onion ring, it is going to stimulate your leptin, that's for sure, but there's no nutritional value. Right, so you got the hormones, but you didn't get the nutrition, and that's kind of where there's a balance point you got to figure out. So, but either way, I'm really proud of you. You did a great job. I mean, you're just learning your body.
I just feel like the whole, like, okay, why didn't I pick up the phone and talk to you?
That's the shame cycle. I mean, it's really you judging yourself and feeling shame for yourself, because you know that I wouldn't have judged you at all. I mean,
Right.
you know me well enough. In fact, if I my point of view is go to that fast food joint and see if you can do it, because that's kind of the ultimate test, wouldn't you agree?
Well, yeah, and I think I did great yesterday by not, I was full, so I didn't eat the hamburger part of it. So it's just like, okay, that's huge for me to acknowledge that part.
That's huge for everybody. Do you understand that that's like worst case scenario test ever? You're extremely hungry and you're going to a fast food joint, and can you do it with hunger with an onion ring? I think about that. That's amazing.
But I'm still so addicted to diet soda, but that's all I drink all day long.
Okay, so you need to be aware. Maybe you can kind of let go of that a little bit. Maybe that's
I want to for sure before my second protocol comes along.
Yeah, I mean, your awareness of that is so great too. Kelly, I just want you to know,
so good when I was on my, my first protocol. I was drinking, my water. I was, it's just like now as soon as I'm done, okay, diet soda's coming back. Like,
you just need to find a balance point.
Soda.
Well, find a balance point. This is where the letting go of judging yourself and observing the behavior is accelerating your learning curve. The fact that you're saying to me, I've noticed that I'm drinking a lot more diet soda, tells me that you're observing. You're doing such a good job. This is the stuff I can't do for you. You're the one that has to do all of this. You have to observe yourself, observe the way you're thinking, and observe the behavior that comes from that thinking, and make a rational decision about what you really want. I can't do that for you. And this is where
It's hard for me to decide on what I want. It's just much easier for me to have someone tell me.
Well, I mean, think of lifelong, something that you can do forever. A lifelong way of thinking and eating that you feel you can do forever. And then let's find out what the physical outcome is. And that's where it's like, we got to get to a new normal for you. And then observe the outcome, and then we kind of keep on going. It's like a stair-step process to a real place that you feel you want to do for the rest of your life. It's not that all or nothing pendulum swing that gets you absolutely nowhere, but weaker and weaker and weaker emotionally. But something that you're proactively creating, because you are the creator of everything that you're doing. You're the one, and that's the why being so observant of it is so valuable, because you can you're taking the emotion out and thinking from an intellectual point of view so that you can make the best decisions you can, rather than an emotional point of view which has bias and self-serving motive, which ultimately is going to sabotage your physical health.
Right.
You're doing such a good job, Kelly. You're there. You just need to keep on plugging away and doing what you're doing, because you're going to evolve every day as you observe what you're doing. It's evolving, and you're going to make choices differently as you observe those behaviors, because there's certain things that you're doing that you're like, why am I doing that? I don't want to do that. And that's the beginning of change.
Well, and so you're using your head so much more. Like, I was such a mindless eater. I guess I won't say mindful, but mindless eater, because I never thought before.
No, it was all.
I never thought if I was hungry. I always just ate because that was something to do.
Yeah.
And now I'll pick something up and I'm like, okay, do I really need this? Like, what, am I hungry now? What's going on right now? You know, like, why do I feel like I need a handful of chocolate chips?
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, okay, I just got done eating.
Well, before it was,
or whatever.
Before it was all emotional for you. There was no mind to it. It was all without thought. And then when you again consider that, and how how you would blame your body for being at fault? Do you see how misguided the diet industry is by telling you that your body's at fault and that it's the food's fault? There's no, now that you've taken on that personal responsibility, it's just so, I don't know, isn't it empowering?
It is.
I know. I'm just so
scary too, though.
Well, the only reason why it's scary, Kelly, is that you're not quite sure of your own strength yet. And the more you do this, the more you'll understand yourself better. And that's what's happening. You're understanding yourself better, and the more practice you get, the more confident you're going to get in what you're doing.
Well, I have a couple friends that are going through this right now, and they, I would say, well, I don't know when I'm going to start. I have this, and this. And it's like, well, I did it through Christmas. There's never going to be a good time to start. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you're always going to have something that pops up. We have a wedding to go to tonight. It's just like,
I know.
You just got to, know how bad you want it and adjust your lifestyle, I guess,
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. And the idea that it needs to be perfect, I have a chapter in the book about, people wanting to they only do diets when they don't foresee any emotional challenge, and that's because they don't trust themselves emotionally. They feel emotionally weak and incapable, and they need food in certain situations, so they'd rather wait to let go of food during times that they don't foresee any challenge, and that is enabling a weaker and weaker and weaker sense of self-stability without food. So you understand the way I approach things, and it's not, some people aren't ready for it. They just aren't, When someone's truly ready to make that change and they're sick and tired of that relationship with food, what you and I are talking about is so pulling, and it's so attracting, and it's almost like, oh my gosh, this is so refreshing to hear. This is what I'm looking for. And for other people, who have addiction to eating, they are afraid of it, and they will deny it, and they won't go towards it, and it won't be appealing to them, and it won't make sense, and that's okay. They're just not ready yet.
Right.
So don't judge them. Just let them be. They'll figure it out. You can always just give them little bits of insight, send them to my website or YouTube, and again, if it makes sense to them, they'll continue to want to hear it. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
Let's schedule for next week, okay?